Okay, good afternoon also from my side. My name is Gabriel Leitner from the University of Leuven, and I'm co-chairing this session with Helmut. With this, I would like to invite our next speaker, Professor Chatzi from ETH in Zurich, and the presentation is entitled Observation-Based Decision-Making for Infrastructure. So, the floor is yours.
Okay, so I'm very happy to be part of this workshop and to follow up on the likes of Dan Pankov and back, and you will see them probably mentioned also through my presentation. This is part of the activities of Working Group 3, I would say, of the Cost Action BU 1402. Together with Daniel, we developed the methods, or we're in charge of overviewing and advancing and making available the methods and tools for the value of information supported by monitoring data, or what I call here observations. You also see here mentioned as co-authors Chatzi, who is let's say the chair of Working Group 3 in Cost Action BU 1406, and my collaborator from the US, Konstantinos. So the motivation, I think, is obvious after a long day of talks regarding decision support for systems on which availability of data is, or in either form, periodic, continuous, or any other form is actually available. The problem is how to actually use this in an intelligible manner in order to support the decision-making processes of engineers, operators, and potentially those that are not really experts in these probabilistic frameworks and so forth, but are in possession of this data. Just to bind this together with what I mentioned on the activities of Working Group 3. So here you see the influence diagram, which actually was put together largely by Daniel, explaining the process of decision-making during the life cycle of a structural system, where you have the sets of the system itself and the different processes that are involved, together with the actions that are available for us to take, and which have to be decided upon on the basis of observations that are possibly available through monitoring technologies, inspection data, and so forth. So the idea is how to optimally manage the system conditioned on these on the processes and observations that are available. You already saw during the overview of the methods that were provided since this morning that a number of approaches exist to optimal decision making, at least within the context of infrastructure planning. And so you can think of multi-criteria decision making, you can think of multi-objective optimization, statistical-based approaches. Likely you have seen most of these already explained by the experts, so I'm hoping to outsource the replies to your questions perhaps later. But what I would like to note here, or what I would like to propose here, is something that is really motivated by data that can become available through monitoring. And so I would like to give you an idea of an example we consider is an approach to incorporate stochastic models and uncertain data into the decision-making process, allowing for the accounting of processes such as deterioration and so forth, which are acting upon our states or on our systems. And so the way that I will be presenting this approach is through the process of a sequential decision-making, where we are met with a system that I described before, which can be anything in terms of structure, wind turbine components. It could be bridges, as is here also the focus, buildings and so forth. We have a set of actions that are available to take for these systems, and possibly a set of observations as well. And every step we make in the decision process comes with a reward, which could be positive or negative in the form of a cost or a gain. Now, this problem exists and it has been treated quite extensively in terms of the Markov decision process framework, where the assumptions are that our system is something like, the decision maker is the agent, the system is interacting with the world, and we have to take the optimal decision to optimize rewards in a long-term goal. In this context, we commonly assume that we're able to receive some observations on the condition of our system that are known with certainty. Just to mention that in such a context, already tools exist that are also available and exploited by the industry. So actually our Federal Roads Office uses a software developed by RADA that incorporates a markup decision process for the support of decision making on the basis of the data that they get from inspections, assessments, and support, the records they hold. But one obvious, let's say, challenge in this whole approach is the fact that data that comes from monitoring, and this has been mentioned multiple times earlier, is not known with certainty. So the primary assumption of this markup decision process is not necessarily completely valid. It is of course meaningful, but there is a point to understanding how to cope with the uncertainty. And so one way to do this is to actually incorporate uncertainties, deal with the world that is in fact only partially observable, and this is what is done through these so-called partially observable markup decision processes, where only a limited level of confidence is attributed to our knowledge of the condition of the system, which we also call a state. And given this sort of probabilistic knowledge on the state of our system, the possible effects of our actions, and the possible validity of our observations and measurements, we're trying to see what is the optimal policy, what is the optimal path to take for the, let's say, maximization of the return of investment on our system, so long-term goal. So in this context, the previous diagram that I showed before is actually exactly the same. It's still a sequential decision-making process, but now we also fuse in these probabilities that describe our limited confidence in the data that we gather, their validity and their accuracy. I'm not going to go through the details of the solution of these systems because they exist in the fact sheet for Action PU 1402 already, but the basic idea is that you have these sets of actions, observations in the system that you're acting upon, and in fact the solution is based on the Bayes rule that was very nicely introduced already before, so I'm not going to insist on this. What is important to know is that the solution or the optimal policy usually is actually found through an inverse procedure, a backpropagation algorithm that tries to initiate from the last point of our decision-making process, so when you have only one decision step to take, and goes backwards until it, or possibly through the entire lifetime of the structure, till it maximizes what you define as the rewards. Now the good thing about these algorithms is that it turns out mathematically they can boil down to this, let's say, complex optimization problem, which is nothing but the definition of a set of vectors that define what the optimal policy is, depending on your belief on the condition of the system. And so from this point of view, they are attractive because they are coupled with solvers that are quite efficient and already quite advanced from other fields of engineering. There's a large literature on what to use or adopt as solvers, but what I would like to show you is basically the implementation and how we could use this in a meaningful way, also in a way that is, let's say, adaptable or easy to adopt by engineers. I will start with a problem that actually was introduced by my co-author, Professor Papakonstantinou, which treats the problem of corrosion. And the evolution of corrosion on the structural system. Here is a 2D plate, and you see here two stochastic simulations. So, good, it works. So you can see the stochastic process is simulating the effect of corrosion, which is actually a non-stationary problem. Again, something that is flexible enough for this framework to take over. So what we would like to do, given this non-stationary development of the deteriorating influence, which is corrosion, treat our system as the agent on which we would like to take the decisions. We assume we have a set of observations that can only give us, with a limited confidence, some estimate of the condition of the system, which you would rate in a scale. You can use a one-dimensional or multi-dimensional quantity, this doesn't matter, and also you have to have a model that prescribes the way in which your system evolves from one state, one horizon to the next. So this would pertain to both the deterioration, evolution, but also the effect that actions that you might want to take or interventions would bear on the condition of the system. So there is the way to approach this, commonly through a discretization approach. And here I show you how the evolution, the evolution of the algorithm would go. So here you see the simulation of the policies for a specific situation, specific simulation of condition of the system, which is evolving throughout its life cycle, and what would be the sets of actions and observations. Maybe you cannot read so well, but these are prescribed actions and observations you would take according to the condition of the system as specified by the policy that's calculated by this algorithm. And so you see here for the first step, the second step, you have a different action, and you can continue in this way. Now the way to calculate this would be, for those that are adapting the use of this software, would be to just simply, let's say, code in your problem into this POMDP solvers. A large variety of these exist already online and are free to download. Or, what I'll show you now is a different approach, one that we try to come up with in order to make it more attractive for adoption or use in an engineering context. And so here I show you the implementation on the system of a bridge, where again, as in the corrosion case, we have a set of actions and observations and actions that are available. Each comes with a different significance or a different resolution. If it's an observation, maybe you do nothing. Maybe you have a visual observation that is rough, or a more detailed non-destructive evaluation approach. Or also you have actions that could be more minor, more major, or a repair. And of course, they all come with different costs or negative rewards. So the objective is to figure out what is the optimal maintenance planning across the lifetime of the system. What you could use to specify the condition of the system really depends on you. It's something that has been a topic of these actions. You can use all sorts of indicators that are either component level, it could be on the system level and so forth, but which usually come with some sort of mean estimation and variance. So you can use this, excuse me, we should be here, to decide on what is your belief on the condition of the system. Then you have these observation actions with the dedicated percentages of precision, visual inspection, roughly yes or no, good or bad, non-destructive testing, something more refined. And also you have actions that bear a different effect on the state. Some are only actually having an influence locally, some are having an influence in a broader range, and so forth, depends on the type of intervention, and they can be linear, non-linear, they can act on a discrete or a continuous sense. You're not limited by the method on these options. And so what we came up with in this sort of example is, let's say, a more visual way to the decision support task, where we come up with these decision maps depending on how many steps one has left for making a decision on the management of the system, what action to take, what observation to take, and what not. And according to your belief on the condition of the system, what is the mean and possibly variance of your indicator, you can choose the steps to take. So the way this would work is the following. If you assume that your indicator brings you somewhere here in your decision map with 2 steps to take, you would go into the relevant graph with 2 horizons, choose an action to take, perform the action, carry out the predicted observation that also comes with the approach. This would take you to a new estimation of the condition of the system, which is possibly improved. Depends on what it is you decide to make, and then you continue with your decision-making process depending on how many decisions you have left or if you want to decide in the infinite horizon sense. Now, the interesting part for these tools is the fact that apart from the usefulness of what I already showed you, is that what we would like, or what we would like to do is actually employ them towards quantifying the value of information of monitoring systems. And the idea would be that you can use this possibility to come up with these optimal trajectories or policies for your systems, depending on the breadth of actions and observations you have. You can estimate what, you can use them to calculate the conditional probabilities of the effects of your actions or observations of the state or condition of your system, but also to fit them into other tools, such as Bayesian analysis tools, for instance, that can exploit this kind of information towards decision making. And so this is the next step we're taking together with Daniel. This is a screenshot from one of Daniel's files, which will be made available soon through the website of the Action, which is just a very basic module on a network, on a version network in the Genie open source software, where you can set up your problem of structural maintenance or optimization on the basis of what are the tools you have available, what are the actions you have available, and here, this is not my PC, so I cannot show you. If you were to double click on these nodes, you would see that you have to specify conditional probabilities and a number of assumptions that you could figure out through the framework that I overviewed before. So this is coming up soon, and what we would like to do is establish a small benchmark program where you see the application of these tools and you're also able to use them and advance them in different contexts. So thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Eleni, for this very nice overview of methods and tools as considered within working group 3 of TU1402. So if there are any questions or comments,
Very interesting presentation, thank you very much. What type of decision making we can do based on observation? Because say decision making for infrastructure, what type of decisions are you looking for?
So the framework as I presented it is quite general, so it's really borrowed from another field where there was all kinds of different types of decisions to understand. The input files we use are basically from robot navigation problems, for instance. So it really depends on what it is that you can define as an intervention, and again depends on the system. So for this example of a bridge, we try to look at it on the global level, but really you could break it down to components, and so the decisions could be specific to the components of the subsystem. Then you can extend it to an aggregation, actually, of these components, which is the system level. So from that point of view, it's quite flexible, and that's one of the attractive things here.
Thank you.
are there any other questions?